I'm Jackie Fox. Hello, Woda folks. Let's talk about vision cards. Now, I've already said, and let me keep this kind of a brief summary, but I don't think the job-based vision cards are going to work the way that we are thinking about using them now. They are an increase in power, but I don't think that that will be fully realized for a long time in a lot of respects. Because generally speaking, using a job-based vision card within an elemental team is probably less good overall because you're missing some of your units, or even if the buffs are bigger, you're missing party members potentially, or you're choosing a suboptimal party to fit the VC requirements just to get a little extra power in some ways. But I think what we've already seen from the Strike meta and the fact that Strike has 6 cards, we could see that kind of thing happen for other metas. So one that I think is particularly interesting and relevant this week, even though there's not a lot going on for it right now. I mean, really, these are the UR cards. Like, there were lower cards that got updated, which I'm not even going to look at or consider. But this is the meta that I think that we're going into. So let's take a look at Yuffie's card. Yuffie and Sonon. This is a good integrate card. Anyways, Yuffie's card is good for Ninja Blade. And it's good for evasion. Ninja Blade units are all pretty much geared towards evasion anyways. They all have a lot of evasion potential. This card is really going to be helpful for them. But the bigger issue that I have with job-based vision cards is that unlike Strike, which in JP now has 6 good UR cards, or at least 4 really good UR cards, 6 good UR cards if we can get a Magic Fist unit or a Magic Strike unit at some point in the future, that would be perfect. I'm actually kind of surprised that Edward wasn't that, because, you know, yes, he is like a physical attacker in a lot of ways, but also he is very much a magic user, and a lot of his most devastating attacks come from his use of magic, or in alchemy, whatever. The newest card on JP is the second piece of this meta, I think, because it works for Ninja Blades. Reaction block rate, always good. Also, as I noted before, good sub-VC thing. Magic attack resistance. This is going to be good as a sub-VC thing as well, as we see often with Fenrir. I think that's going to go down to 8, which is okay, but also pretty good on main. And then we have single target resistance of 20. There are more AoE guaranteed hits now. Single target resistance used to be really important for evasion units. It's not as important now. However, as we're getting more AoE resistance just naturally into the game, or JP is at least, and, you know, Perrine kind of being part of the start of that. As we're getting more AoE resistance, single target resistance becomes more interesting and becomes, you know, kind of the second thing that you have to build. So this is interesting that we get that. Now, again, that being said, the drawback here, especially for people who want a ninja meta into the future, is that there's just these 3 cards. And I showed you the FMA card last because it's Roy's, and it's magic based. It does come with 3 agility on the card, which, I'm not gonna lie, is really good for evasion and really good for this type of thing. Increased critical rate is cool. Pierce resistance could be relevant. I don't know that there's a lot of like Pierce guaranteed hit. The only thing I can think of is Thunder Smite on Oberon off the top of my head. Magic attack resistance penetration is going to be irrelevant for our units, unfortunately. Increased critical rate, though. Ninjas do have a thing for critical, so this would be good for that. So I'm seeing this probably as a sub VC. Get that 12 pierce resistance, get that 14 probably magic attack resistance penetration because it's not relevant for you, and take whatever critical rate you can get. But again, that's it. So this card isn't limited either. And now I'm giving JP pull advice. What the fuck? I'm just saying, like, if you're excited for ninjas into the future, you definitely want to get Yuffie's card. You might want to get Roy's card, but really, like, let's make that decision ultimately, and I'll do a longer video on this when Yuffie's card comes out. Because really, if Ninja Evasion is going to be a thing, it's going to be a thing because of this card. And if at that point, 4 months have passed in JP and there has been support for this playstyle, other than just Yuffie and this card, I mean, also all ninjas really work with this card again, but Yuffie and this card, then we'll talk. But for right now, it's at least the most interesting thing I can think of for this new VC that you probably aren't going to hear in other people's videos.